mental health in the music industry, we're lucky to have ASCAP members Taylor Bennett and Kosine, and Dr. Delverlon Hall, a psychotherapist who's well-versed in the issues impacting entertainment professionals. Moderating this conversation is ASCAP's Jason Reddick. Take it away, Jason.
Thank you, Sarah. Welcome, everybody. Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
I'm just going to delve right into it. There's a meme going around. I don't know if anybody has seen it, but it says that Black men deal with trauma by getting rich.
Ooh.
And right, it touched me. Like when I saw it, I was like, whoa, like
Crazy stuff.
I didn't even think about it, but it's like, it made me stop and think, like, is that something we as Black people, but Black men, is that something we really look at as like the end all be all to solve our issues, is to go get rich, and that is going to help us mentally? Like, what do you guys think about that? And is that a valid statement? And if it is, or if it isn't, like, how do you feel about that?
Miss Hall, like to go first.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying, Miss Hall, if you like.
Well, I'm curious to hear just do you, one, believe that is true? My initial thought is, whoa, I wonder if that actually resolves any of the issues, because, our feelings, we don't outgrow them, and we can't buy things or create lifestyles, and that's going to take whatever we've gone through, the trauma, it's not going to take it away. So I'm curious, do you believe that maybe that is in the back of your mind?
Yeah, I think my opinion on it is, it's not really just, I would say, it's definitely not just a Black thing. I think in the music industry, not just the music industry, I think for the average person that understands how society works, economics, money, living in, a capitalist society or whatever they might feel, money it's always a tool. Right. And I think in certain situations, there's room where it can help, maybe, I don't know, medically, but at the same time, something that I know is true for me that I had to come to learn is money can't, it won't fix anything, it's a worldly thing. And, something else is that, there's no amount of material, there's no amount of gold or any of these things that will make you feel better. I think for me, being rich in spirit and rich in health are really big for me. And probably in like the past 2 to 3 years, I've really gotten to that lane. And that's been probably the most rewarding, I would say, for me. Past the money, it's done things for me that money can't do.
Yes, and I think that's a really good point, because it sounds like what you're saying, Taylor, that you got in touch with who you were. You decided what was important. And once you were able to kind of attune to yourself in that way, then that guided you how to show up in the world. That gave you the peace. So whatever it is, it kind of helped centered you, strong sense of self, whatever it is. But that was what you needed.
Yes, I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you.
No.
I can definitely, like, as man, that kind of shocked me, and that actually might be true as hell, because when I think about trauma, for me, trauma hit me at 20 years old when I lost my mother. And there was life before and life after, and I mean, I just was looking at God sideways, like, sir, this is the most gangbanging city of all time, and I don't gangbang. I started just trying to go through all of the things that I don't do. Why would you take my queen and leave me alone in this world? And my mom, rest her soul, she left me with an inheritance. And so I was papered up. I almost had $500,000 at 20 years old. And what I did was use the money to say, guess what? Y'all will never feel sorry for me. And I put a bunch of throwbacks on. I bought other people things, like, and the one thing that I did do was pay the house off and pay for college, but I pretty much squandered the bag just trying to hide. Right. Then I get out to LA and start making music. And again, the fake it till you make it clause, Mr. Popular, presidents of the Noops, and out here just covering until good old 2015, when we were nominated for Rap Song of the Year, Nicki Minaj, Anaconda, and I'm supposed to be at the top of my game, platinum #1 around the world. And guess what? I had a full-on breakdown. My family had to fly out to LA, pick me up, and it's like a baseball pitcher. I see that baseball jersey in Taylor's backyard. I mean, in his background. Like, it was like, hey, you're done, sir. Hand us the ball, and it's time for you to come back to Chicago because you lost your damn mind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I had to basically come back to Chicago, detox from Hollywood, right? I had got chewed up and spit out of this town, messed the bag all the way up. All my stuff is in storage. I have nowhere to put my 80-inch TV, you know what I'm saying? And it was time for me to truly deal with my demons and finally deal with, everything that had been going on in my life. And it's crazy because, I definitely was just hiding behind success. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it would be so crazy because I'm back in Chicago. I'm at the Soho House, and people are like, "Oh man, Coach, you back home? Oh man, I've been meaning to tell you, man, and I'm so proud of you." And like, they have no idea I am completely broken inside. So I'm just doing that little ugly smile, like, thanks, dog. So yeah, that's a very interesting point. I never thought of that, but that's very interesting.
Well, what I'm thinking about. I think as children, we often receive messages around our feelings, and those messages I don't think are very conscious on our parents' end. But it's, why are you crying? There's nothing to be upset about. And what that does for the child, he or she doesn't learn to attune to their feelings. They don't learn to consider them important. And so we get on the road and we go for what we want to go towards, but we've never learned to check in with ourselves. How am I feeling? What's going on? What's bothering me? And really giving it time. And when we learn to go towards our feelings, and it sounds like, Cole, that's what you had to do. When we're able to go towards them, we actually start to work them through. Otherwise, we're stuck in them. And we don't outgrow feelings. We have to learn how to process them. If not, we're stuck and we're just adding and adding and adding. And to your point, eventually we're going to shut down because there's nowhere for us to go. And childhood is where we're supposed to learn how to, this is, mom and dad, how are you feeling? Da, 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 da. But again, our parents often are struggling to keep a roof over our heads and keep, get us ready to be in the world. And probably no one paid attention to their feelings. So they don't know to help us to learn how to go towards them. So we're just always on autopilot, but eventually we have to figure out another way because there's but so far we can go. That.
Great point. My next question I want to get to, because this is a wellness panel, but when you think about it, some of our greatest music has come from people that deal with trauma.
Yeah.
And how do we continue to help them push the envelope forward to make amazing music, but not to the detriment of their health?
Yes.
And being a person. Because we've seen when you push them too far, it's almost like no coming back. So how do we keep the authenticity of the music and the soulfulness in it and the traumas that we put into it, but we not have to live by them every day to where it's a detriment to us?
Good.
That's for all three of you. So if you put some thought into that, how you see that happen.
Is that for me?
It's for all three of you.
Okay.
The educated, but we also want the creative side, because these guys are creatives and they are dealing with that passion and having to pull from that dark place to create amazingness. How do you go in and come back out almost, but not let it affect you for life?
Yes.
That's all you.
That's all now.
Let's start with the doctor, because I think they still have to go through it. Let's go from the psychological, the clinical point.
Yes. Well, I think it's important that we understand our stories. And I think when you fully understand your story, you can go for what you want. And often what people do, you're right, they use the trauma, but they've not really processed it. They've not really worked through it. And I think when you've done that, you can then transition it and use it in a way that provides such perspective. And I think that can be integrated into how you show up in your craft. But I think in order to really do that, you have to understand, you have to go back, you have to sort through so that you show up in a way that's healthy and balanced, right? And it's honest in regards to who you are and what you've learned and what you've come out of and what you know. And I think, and you can only do that once you sort through the unresolved trauma.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's two parts. It's two sides, right? You got society that loves the foolery. They love to see you at your worst. They love to see you cracking in front of everybody. They eating it up like hotcakes. These people because we're in this society where we worship celebrities, you know what I'm saying? You put these people way up here, and then when they're dealing with everyday issues, it's like society is just literally foaming at the mouth. Every media outlet can't wait to put your business. Like I clicked on Marriage Boot Camp and I seen Snoop talking about it the other day, looking at Corrupt, and it's just like, man, my heart, it's painful to watch because I'm looking at a brother that is struggling with something, and these people can't wait to put that up and show that off and show this man struggling. And Snoop was saying, hopefully when he sees this, maybe this will help to, wake him up and pull him out of it. But a lot of it is just society and what we like. On the flip side of it, as artists, you gotta want to do better, and you gotta want to, get up out of it. You have to want to, you have to recognize that, you have an issue. For me, it was watching a lot of my friends, what I'm saying, disappear. It's just like, oh, you don't want to be around me no more. Oh, you don't want to be around me no more. And then what was left were my real friends and my family. And these are the people that love Marcos, not Costa. They don't care about none of that. They love Marcos. And once I kind of filtered out my life to who actually was here to love and help me, I was able to differentiate what was real and what was fake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And once I got to that place, and I could just really start to just grow and I think, like you said, Dr. Hall, just kind of lean into it. Now it's like I talk about it all the time. Oh yeah, I went broke 5 years ago. Oh man, yeah, I lost my mind 5 years ago. I was out here bad, bro. Oh man, ooh, I was the definition is whoremonger. I was out here bad. There was no respect for myself. Oh Lord, you just lean into it. You know what I mean? Because it's now a testimony. And we know what happens when something don't kill you. It make you stronger. And now I just can't wait to just continue to share and help others, because we all are sharing this battle. We all have our own individual battles.
Good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I'm first of all, I think you guys, those were amazing just answers for that. It's just had me thinking. But I did want to take a second because I think this is very
We can hear each other. You want to keep talking?
Oh, we lost you, TB. I think he's getting another call. His phone been blowing up.
Yo, it's hot. Spot is hot. I'll give him a couple seconds. But while we're waiting on Taylor on that end, what are some things for you, Coach, that you do to almost I don't want to say it, keep you grounded in reality now?
Yeah.
Now that you have seen what it's like to lose your mind, as your words say, to now, what is it that you do that you almost routine like have to do to keep reminding yourself to be grounded?
Well, two things. I lean into family. So when I was at some of my brokest times, right, I started to just say, all right, well, cool. You know what? Money ain't real. Okay. So if I'm rich and, I'm in, it's not about what's in my bank account. Then what are the things that make me rich? And with all the extra time I had on my hands, that time to talk to family. So now, I have my favorites on my phone, wonderfully organized and prioritized, you know what I mean, with my son right up at the top, and I just check in with family at any given point in my day. Oh, we got Taylor back. At any given point in my day, I tap in with family. And then two is on Saturdays, when sports went off, the homies and we all started up a Bible study. So one thing that we never did, we talk about sports, chicks, all type of whatevers all day long, our whole life. We never actually decoded the Bible. And so as a group, we got a Zoom chat where we jump in on every Saturdays. And sometimes, since it's the Sabbath and we all resting, we might be on that thing for 5 or 6 hours. Brothers might tap in, tap out, but we literally have been decoding the word. And sometimes we take today's current events and just throw it right at the word. Like we took entanglement and Jada and August and threw that at Proverbs, you know what I mean? And just going back and forth. And that has allowed me to put on this full armor. Now I got on the full armor. So when I get out here, I can sit again and differentiate the real from the fake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I want to go back to Taylor.
Thank you.
For the first question, and after that, the question was, what do you do to keep grounded? What are some of your things that you do to keep grounded? But go ahead, you can ask that first.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. My phone connected. This is a whole new world of technology. I'm just getting used to it. But I'm glad I was able to hop back on. So as I was saying before, I just wanted to say that you guys' answers, Ms. Hall, seeing amazing. Just me over here thinking as well. But I think that this is something that's really precious and really touchy. Not just, I think, in the hip hop community, but when we step out of genres and music and we start, to speak on stereotypes or judgment or things that right now are very, very, very prominent in conversation, dominant in most conversations that we're having outside of music. And I think that stems from, if you look at not just, American entertainment, but, entertainment for years, look at the places that, us as a people come from and, other people come from. And a lot of those remnants, not just for Blacks or African Americans, or not just for whites or Hispanics or Asians, a lot of those things are still very dominant in the music industry and the film industry and those places that we see today. And I think that there is a structure, and I really like that you said this earlier. I want to touch on this. You said that a lot of music in our community, and when I think about our community, and our music, I don't just think about hip hop. I don't just think about rap. I think about James Brown. I think about Michael Jackson. I think about the 5 Stair Steps, Aretha Franklin. Some of the greatest of all times. And a lot of those songs come from a deeper, kind of darker place. So, this stigma isn't something that has just been correlated or connected to hip hop or rap music. This has been a similar pattern that has continued, and it's begun to unfold. But something that I've always said, being from Chicago, and my brother being Chance the Rapper, also managing Chance the Rapper, and being an artist, Taylor Bennett myself, from the south side of Chicago, a lot of other comrades, rappers, friends, allies of the Chicago music scene, were basically under scrutiny or a lot of times criticized for the opinions that they voiced as artists. And one thing that I always said, even back in 2014, because it's 2020, I'm 24 now. So in 2014, I was, I think, 18. I was about to graduate high school. And I was still making music back then. I remember saying in an article that if it wasn't for, the songs from Chief Keef, such as I Don't Like, and the music videos that, were covered and seen on CNN, we wouldn't have that historical documentation of the events that took place in an area that me and my brother call home, my cousins still call home, and family members. So, I think that it is a hard thing to go into a dark space and to come out with light. However, I think something that Martin Luther King always used to say is wherever there's darkness, you'll find the light. And that's something that, has become a very common phrase for me growing up in Chicago. In terms of how I stay grounded, the reason honestly why I was late getting on this call is, I was at the gym upstairs. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but about 2 to 3 years ago, I really got on my fitness journey. And I felt that it was important for me, not just for my community and, for my health, but also, understanding that a lot of people look at me as someone that is an inspiration. And to bring it back to the question earlier about how a lot of wealth associated with happiness, or being rich is associated with being rich in spirit or rich in health. But it actually are two totally different things. And I understand that not just in the community that I come from, a lot of food, and we don't have access in Chicago. We call these places food deserts. And that's where, it might be a few miles where you can't access a Whole Foods or organic products, or even a McDonald's or a Subway. A lot of places where there's only corner stores or only, these mass fast food distributors and not an access to health. But also for me to be an artist in the rap community or viewed as a hip hop artist, and to understand that right now, I think besides Ace Hood, Gucci Mane, Chris Brown, there's a couple other artists, R&B artists who are usually a lot more fit. But in terms of hip hop and rappers, what I am, there's not so much of a push for us to be healthy or to work out. It's actually what you're saying, the exact opposite. And, we don't need that. I'm a 24-year-old African American from the South Side of Chicago. I'm loved by my city, and I love my city. And I'm here, just to voice the opinion that there are a lot of other people that are just like me. And I want to say thank you to ASCAP for giving us the platform. But that's how I stay around it. Is looking at others and looking at myself and trying to make sure that I'm making that role, or I'm being that role model for the next generation, like Kanye and Jay-Z and other amazing greats were for me.
And Doc, how, from a clinical standpoint, what should we be doing or looking to do to stay grounded as people that work within this entertainment field, professionals and artists and things like that?
Yeah, well, I feel like Poe and Taylor, really hit it on the nail. Having people who are in your corner who want the best for you and keep you focused and attuned to who you are is important. I think having a regimen or something that makes you feel good at the end of the day is also important. Our feelings everything comes down to feelings. And if we have a community around us, if we have practices that help keep us tuned to who we are, then we can go for what we want. And so loving ourselves, I don't know, we hear often how important it is to love ourselves. And I agree with you, Taylor. I think the music is all about often acting out. And that is more about unresolved feelings than about anything else. And so if we can figure out and identify for ourselves, what self-love looks like, who are the people who are holding us down, and what do we need to do to stay focused and attuned is what we want to do.
Amazing.
Now, I guess a tougher question would be, how do we ask for help?
Love that.
Help, how do we ask? Or, it might take us a minute to realize it, but once we do realize it, how do we ask for help? How do we get help?
Yeah, well, so interesting that's a tough question in itself. I think that's interesting. Asking for help seems to be something that is taboo. You don't do it. You don't show weakness, whatever it is, right? Why is it so hard for us to ask for help, right? We're allowed to ask for what we need. And so, I think it's, identifying again the people in your corners, the people who really are there to empower you and help you to become who you want to be, And once you've identified, okay, I don't feel good and I want to feel better, you seek someone out that can help you to process and work through. And again, it could be a friend, it could be a family member, or it could be a therapist, and the more that we know our stories and we're able to process our feelings, we can move through them and get on with our lives. But if we don't have a practice, and there's nowhere for us to go.
And I actually want to ask you guys that. I know, Coach, you said your family had to kind of have an intervention and pull up on you, but now that you are self-aware, what do you normally do?
I want to. That's an incredible question, and again, sometimes it's almost impossible to see how much help you need when you're on the inside, when you're in the eye of the tornado, per se, right? But I want to share this story because I was talking with my team about this as we were prepping for our show. And it is the story of how I went to therapy for the first time. Executive out here by the name of Garnett March. And if you know Garnett, he's really not the nicest guy per se. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's kind of got some edge to him, let's just say that, right? But one day he sat me down and he said, Coach, I'm really worried about you. And we have lost a lot of brothers in this game to suicide. And you are the most talented person that I've ever been in the studio with. And I want to pay you a lot of money to work with the artists on my label. But I cannot do that unless you get help. So what I've done is I found you the best therapist here in LA. And I've paid up 2 months for you to go and see him. All you have to do is show up and we can continue to build. And like, as I sit back and even think about that, I could almost cry tears because the man saved my life. So, and again, that society, we love to just point the finger and say, man, you seen him? Oh man, he was doing whoop. Man, I was on their IG page and they was crying in the stories. Ooh, we love to do that, right? But all you ballers out there that got so much money to do everything, how you ain't never offered to pay for your homie to get some help? Why you ain't never spent no money on your family to get some help? For the brothers out there that love to critique. And I just feel like, man, for those people out there that you worried about, that you love, take the biggest first step possible and make it, and of course, they again have to be willing to go and to get the help. But I just feel like that just, man, when I think about that brother, because that was my first time going to see a therapist, you know what I mean? And it was very helpful, you know what I mean? And what made me know how to even communicate to my family what I was going through, because my family's in Chicago looking through the eyes of social media like, we don't understand what's going on. Like, 1 minute you was at the Grammys and now pop up. And I was able to really, communicate what I was feeling. So I just encourage people that are around people that are going through stuff to really do as much as you can to be that outlet to help them. And if that means going in your pockets, go in your pockets. It'll be some of the best money you ever invest to save the life of somebody you love.
Good. Awesome.
And Taylor?
I think that's also a really good question. Like you said, to ask a harder question. I think that's the reason why I say that's a difficult question to answer is that a lot of people don't have the resources. I mean, I can give an example. I have a lot of friends that grew up in families, and a lot of times they didn't believe in mental illness.
Yes.
So a lot of times they didn't even believe that it existed. They thought that, that there must be a defiance issue. You must have some kind of misconduct and behavior problem. And I think that, and right now I'll just speak from what I know for myself. Being an African American male growing up, there's a game to it. There is kind of an illusion to it. And to kind of break that down, I went to school at Mark T. Skinner School, which is a classical school. It's one of the best schools in Chicago. Shout out to Mark T. Skinner School. And I lived on the south side of Chicago in the West Chatham neighborhood. And it's not the worst neighborhood, but it's not the best neighborhood either. And I lived a totally different life just based off the fact that my parents had given me the opportunity to go to a school that was halfway across the city, that cared for me and had enough time, and something else that we talked about, which is a tool, not that much of it, but a little bit of money, and put it in the right places, Kosine, like you were saying, to the people they care about, and used to take me to school. And I lived such a different life that by the time I was in high school, so by the time I had graduated this grade school that I went to, one of my best friends that I had lived 2 doors down from, we ended up going to the same high school. I went to Urban Prep, Bronzeville campus. Shout out to them. Amazing school, 100% African-American school, 100% college acceptance. They've done tremendous work. They're very well known throughout the Chicago area. By the time I went to school with him in high school, we were in totally different, just worlds. And something that you talked about earlier is that, you know, there's masculinity is a big thing in the hip hop community, since we're talking about music. And in those situations, it's very hard to ask for help. Very often, you are thought that you're supposed to deal with it alone. But there's also a mentality of making sure that you look out for yourself. So it's not very often that you're going to ask anybody else for something else. So for me, I think that, and I'll say this, I think it's honest, the best thing that I could do is tell myself that I wanted to be better. Not just better than the neighborhood that I'm from, not just better than myself as a person, better than everyone. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to get into fitness. I wanted to read more. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to be more. And the drive is here. And that's why I love doing what I do, because I just turned 24 years old. I'm a rapper, you know. My people love me. I love my people. And through the hip hop, through the rap music, we can help ourselves. And that is what our music has always been, is a remedy to our pain. And we talked about that in my last statement when I talked about Aretha Franklin. So we have a culture, and I think that's very important for us as a people and for rap music to have a culture, to have a group of forming an alliance with an understanding. But I do think that could be better. And I think that because there have been activists that have been musicians, you know, over the years that have done so many great things. Through artists, I see like Chance the Rapper. Through artists, I see like Coda the Friend, Saba, some very influential, positive artists that have been out just doing great things. I believe that they can change the narrative. You know, and I don't look down on anybody that has something else to say and wants to speak and report the news that they see from the closest, truest broadcast, which is their eyes and out of their mouth into their music. I actually applaud you for it.
Dope. Good stuff. Now, dealing with some other coping mechanisms, you know, music tends to heal, and something that we get to is a very vibrational thing. From an artist, what music do you listen to get you into a good high vibrational setting and spirit?
Oh man, come on now. Now you ask the question. You get in my car, man. I'm gonna hit you with that Misty, the Donny Hathaway version and the Billie Holiday version back to back though. You know what I'm saying? As soon as you get in, because they're both, you know, singing the same lyrics, but they're saying it in their own unique way. So I have a playlist. I might have to share the little playlist that I got. But man, you know, I look at the music that you listen to similarly to the food that you eat. You know what I'm saying? Your music diet, your palate. You know what I mean? Like when I was trying to work out, you know, around the time when we lost brother George Floyd and the riots were happening in Minnesota, you know, I put on my workout playlist, and that the violence in the playlist just it didn't hit the same. I'm like, yo, we talking about all of this killing left and right, and we are a full-on target, right? And so, you know, for me, I grew up, of course, in the church. So there's certain gospel songs, "Encourage Yourself" by Donald Lawrence. I remember some of the hardest times, again, being out here before I had a relationship with my father. Rest in peace as well. It will always be plane rides, the early, them 5, 6 a.m. plane rides where I get on a plane, be thinking life, sinking into that depression, and I put on that "Encourage Yourself." As I minister to you, I minister to myself, you know what I mean? And it just pulled me out. And yeah, I think that's really like important to like search out organic vegan playlists for yourself of songs that can pull you out, that you can go to, because there is healing. Like when I wrote Kings, kings are falling every day and kings are rising just the same, but when will we know who we are? I see your light, you are my star. When I put that out, I didn't even look at it like a record. I looked at it like audio healing for my brothers. You know what I mean? And we have to be diligent in that search, moving through and finding out what those songs are. So I guess that kind of was a bit of a shameless plug, but in the most genuine way, from my heart to y'all, my soul to y'all. You know, even the strings that's on that thing, it is literally to just add a calm. You know, you research some of these brothers in the Bible and musicians in the Bible, they used to just play to calm the king down during wartime. You know, they hearing killing your mind, and some music are just sometimes you just need that.
For sure. What about you, Taylor?
I think something that's really important is, since the beginning of time, something I've been very blessed with is, my parents, very, very musical family, not, just in terms, my dad did used to play the flute when he was a little bit younger in high school, but I think just like a taste of music. There was always music playing around the house, and it was all so different. So, like I said, I grew up hearing Aretha Franklin and Billie Holiday and Lenny Kravitz and Outkast and just so many different kinds of artists. And then I think I got to the point, and I'm an internet baby. So one thing that I think was very important for me, and I think it's a big thing for a lot of children, I think music is behind everything that's going on in the world, and it always is. But so many kids are so diverse with their music right now. And, the beauty of music, not just hip hop as a genre, but all genres, is that they continue to grow. And, I got to a point when I was younger and I started listening to Queen, and I started listening to the Smiths and the Beatles. And that love took me into a different direction. I started to listen to Def Cab for Cutie and As Tall as Lions. And it's funny you said that. I keep a book right here. These are just when I'm working out or when I'm cleaning up the house. I have these certain songs that in childhood just were a memory. And that's how I like to think about the music that I create as well, as making a memory and not just something for people to listen to. So, The Fray, Foster the People, they did that Pumped Up Kids song. Sarah released the Love Song, and Natasha Bedingfield, Unwritten.
I love Love Song, man. And I love song.
1, 2, 3, 4, Coldplay, The Scientist, or Fix You, or James Blunt, You're Beautiful. And I want to challenge, people that are watching this video today to break out of your genre. If you're primarily listening to country, listen to hip hop. I think a big tool of racism has always been segregation and a lack of conversation. And I believe that a lot of us, and I know this to be true for me as a fan of music, I like to think that I get to know an artist better when I listen to a full catalog of their work. And I also like to think that I can recognize their struggle more. And that's what, I think we do. We're authors. So,
Nice.
Powerful, bro. That's powerful. You got some joints on that playlist, dog.
Right.
yeah, I'll definitely send it over to you, man.
That's dope. So I got two more questions. First, for Dr. Hall, what should we be looking for when we want to go talk to a therapist or seek out a therapist? Like, what should we be looking for besides just, Big Mama or Grandpa giving us some old school game, but like a certified person to help us out?
Yeah, it's really important that the person you find is someone where you feel safe and you feel seen and you feel understood. You don't have to accept the first person you meet. You want to do your research and you want to make sure it's a good fit. So again, you need to feel safe with the person. You need to feel seen. You need to feel that they're interested in your story and care about what you're bringing into the room. That's key because fit is everything. If that person doesn't get you, then you're wasting your time. So you do the work, you do the research, you make sure again that you are being fully taken in by that person.
That's good stuff. And I just want to give you a personal shout out. Your son said you're an amazing person. He loves you to death. So you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
So he gave us a little message. He was like, yo, can you let my mom know I'm proud of her? So
I love that. Honor thy mother. I love that.
It's amazing stuff.
Yeah.
But I want you guys, was there anything specific you guys wanted to get into, I guess, that I might not have touched before we run out of time here? Or is there anything?
I would say that one of the biggest reasons, and I just want to say again, shout out to ASCAP for putting this together. This is amazing. This is something that's very well needed. Of course, I know this is the music industry. You guys provide amazing concerts, but I think conversations like this are really what matter for the world. They're bigger than just, my brand, your brand, and the fact that you see that and that you're allowing people like me to come speak on this platform. I cannot thank you enough. But what interested me, like I said, I've been on this physical journey. I want to push young people out there, go work out. We see the TV, we see the commercials, we see, that can be you. It's very easy. And, it's not exactly, maybe as fast as you might see it in the movies, but it is something that a lot of us can use, and that's discipline. And I think that once we become disciplined, we can also become disciplined in other areas. It's very easy. So, again, I just thank you guys. I really love everything you guys are doing for this. I think a big key component to mental health is physical health as well. If I'm not wrong, Ms. Hall. So, just go for it. Be yourself. Be a better you every day.
Yeah, I agree.
They said we got like 2 minutes, so real quick, Cole, what you?
Oh man, I just say study your friends, and your family, and figure out who are the ones that are really there for you.
Yeah.
Because those are the internal. That's your internal counselship that you have. That the Father, the Most High, has put around you, and lean into them. Make it a weekly thing that you check in with them. And even just sometimes I call people, my family, hey, I don't want nothing, dog. I don't even want, man, I don't want nothing. I'm just saying, what's good, man? How the wife, how the kids, and just let that conversation find its way, because there are certain people that are there for you, that want to help you, that can be a soundboard for you, where sometimes you don't even know what you're feeling and you just need to talk it through. And you need somebody to kind of just play, devil's advocate sometimes, or just hear you out. And so really lean into those people that you have around you. And yeah, I'm just sending love.
Yeah, and definitely appreciate you guys. And real quick, Dr. Hall, what do you want to end on?
I really appreciate being here and part of this discussion. I'd like to end with just, I think it's important for us to know that we can do whatever it is that we want. want, and we get to be who we want. And when we learn to love ourselves and take care of ourselves, there's no stopping us. So
Perfect. Thank you guys again, Taylor, Kosine, Dr. Hall. We greatly appreciate it. Without you guys, of course, we wouldn't be ASCAP, so we appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate you, Jason. Great job, brother. Great job.
Jason, appreciate it.